Take a look at this map. This is Israel. Most people are caught off guard when they see this for the first time. Is it really this small? Its total area is about 22,000 square kilometers. That's roughly the size of New Jersey. But there's a number even more shocking than its total area: its width. At its narrowest point, near Tel Aviv, the distance from the Mediterranean Sea to the Jordan River is just 15 kilometers. 15 kilometers. That's about 9 miles. In a car, you could drive from one side of the country to the other in about 20 minutes. And within that 15-kilometer pinch sits Tel Aviv, the heart of the country where nearly half the population lives. It's where the main international airport is located. It's where the core military infrastructure sits. If an enemy attacks from the direction of the Jordan River and breaks through just 15 kilometers, they reach the sea. The country is cut in half. This single number explains almost everything about Israel. To understand the present, we have to look at the past. For 2,000 years, the Jewish people lived without a country of their own. After the Roman Empire destroyed Jerusalem and expelled them in 70 AD, they were scattered across the globe for 2 millennia. They faced persecution, discrimination, and exile. That history of suffering culminated in the Holocaust, where Nazi Germany murdered 6 million Jews. This happened in the 20th century, barely 80 years ago. After the Holocaust, the world reached a consensus that Jewish people needed a state. In 1948, Israel was founded, but there were already people living on that land. Palestinian Arabs. With the birth of Israel, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians lost their homes and became refugees. Arab nations refused to recognize the new state. War broke out immediately. Israel was born into conflict, born under siege. Look at Israel's neighbors on the map. To the north is Lebanon, home to Hezbollah, an Iranian-backed militant group. To the northeast is Syria, a hostile rival for decades. To the east is Jordan, which currently has a peace treaty, but the stability is fragile. To the southwest is Egypt, another peace treaty, yet public opinion there remains deeply hostile toward Israel. And internally, you have the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Israel faces potential threats from every single direction, both outside and in. Given this geography, what kind of security principles has Israel built? There are 3 core pillars to their military strategy. First, preemption. Israel strikes before the enemy can, because a country only 15 kilometers wide has no strategic depth. It cannot afford to absorb a surprise attack and survive. The 1967 Six-Day War is the perfect example, when intelligence suggested that Egypt, Syria, and Jordan were preparing to strike. Israel launched a preemptive air raid. In just 3 hours, they destroyed 90% of the Egyptian Air Force. The war was over in 6 days. If Israel had waited to react, those 15 kilometers could have been overrun. In Israel's military DNA, you strike first to stay alive, second asymmetric deterrence. Israel possesses nuclear weapons. They don't officially admit it, but it's the world's worst kept secret. Why do they need them? Because they can't win a conventional war against all their neighbors simultaneously forever. Nuclear weapons change the math. The fear that Israel might use them in an existential crisis serves as the ultimate deterrent. They call this the Samson option, a reference to the biblical figure who brought the temple down on himself and his enemies. It's an extreme survival strategy for a tiny nation. If we go down, we're taking everyone with us. Third, buffer zones. 15 kilometers is simply too narrow. To survive, Israel needs a cushion. In the 1967 war, Israel seized the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. Their territory tripled in size. Why? Because they needed space to fight. If an enemy crosses the border, these territories provide the distance needed to mobilize and defend the core population centers. This logic explains why Israel finds it so difficult to give up occupied land. Returning to the pre-1967 borders means returning to the 15-kilometer fear. We talked about water in part 12, and in this conflict, water is everything. Beneath the West Bank lies the mountain Aquifer, a massive underground water source. A significant portion of Israel's total water supply comes from here. This is one of the underlying reasons for the continued occupation of the West Bank. Palestinians cannot freely use the water beneath their own feet. They need Israeli permits even to dig a well, while Israeli settlements have a steady supply of water. Palestinian villages often face shortages. To rule the land is to rule the water. To rule the water is to rule the people. Occupation isn't just about security, it's about resources. Now we have to talk about October 7th, 2023. Hamas launched a massive surprise attack from the Gaza Strip. Thousands of rockets were fired at once. Militants breached the border fence, raided kibbutzim, and attacked a music festival. Over 1,200 Israeli civilians were killed, and about 250 were taken hostage. It was the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. We all know what happened next. Israel launched an all-out assault on Gaza. Ground troops moved in, and the Strip was decimated. Tens of thousands of Palestinian women were killed, and millions became refugees. The world was shocked. Criticism of Israel poured in, and the case was even taken to the International Court of Justice. But Israel didn't stop. Why? Because of geography. Gaza sits right on Israel's southern doorstep. From Gaza, rockets can reach almost every major Israeli city. The entire country, only 15 kilometers wide at its heart, is within range. From Israel's perspective, as long as Hamas controls Gaza, the southern border is a permanent threat. The logic is that this threat must be eliminated at any cost. I'm not talking about right or wrong here. I'm talking about where that logic comes from. It comes from the fear of those 15 kilometers. Then, there is Iran. Iran doesn't share a border with Israel. It's far away. Yet, Iran has officially declared that Israel must be wiped off the map to achieve this. Iran has planted proxies all around Israel's borders: Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, pro-Iranian militias in Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen. They call this the axis of resistance. It is a strategic encirclement. From Israel's point of view, Iran is tightening a noose around their neck. This is why Israel will never tolerate an Iranian nuclear weapon. If Iran goes nuclear, its proxies can attack even more boldly under a nuclear umbrella. If Israel retaliates, Iran could threaten them with total destruction. For a 15-kilometer-wide country, that is an impossible situation. This is why it is repeatedly sabotaged Iran's nuclear program through cyber-attacks and assassinations. Iranian nuclear scientists have been killed in mysterious ways. A computer virus called Stuxnet crippled Iranian centrifuges. Israel never officially claims credit, but the world knows who did it. It is the Israeli style of preemption, a strike carried out not with guns, but with code and shadow operations. But look at the Abraham Accords of 2020. Israel normalized relations with the UAE and Bahrain, followed by Sudan and Morocco. This was a massive diplomatic breakthrough. Why the sudden change of heart from Arab nations? Because of Iran. Iran is threatening regional hegemony, and its sheer influence is scaring Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Bahrain. Israel fears Iran. The Arab states fear Iran. An old enemy has become a partner because they share a common threat. The Arab states want Israel's military tech, cyber capabilities, and intelligence to keep Iran in check. Israel wants the Arab states' petrodollars and diplomatic legitimacy. A deal was struck. The Palestinian issue. It was pushed to the back burner because the fear of Iran outweighed the solidarity with Palestine. Geopolitics redrew the map of alliances. Finally, we must ask the most difficult question: can this ever be solved? The two-state solution. The idea of Israel and Palestine coexisting as independent nations has been the goal of the international community for decades. But look at the map. There are hundreds of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, home to hundreds of thousands of Jewish settlers. These settlements have carved the Palestinian territory into pieces. Like Swiss cheese, Palestinian communities live in the holes, while Israeli settlements fill the space in between. In this state, is a Palestinian nation even possible? There is no contiguous land. A country cannot function as a series of disconnected islands. But could the settlements be removed? Moving hundreds of thousands of people would be a political impossibility within Israel. Geography is blocking the solution. It's not just about political will. The reality carved into the land itself has narrowed the options to almost zero. I've tried today not to take sides. In this conflict, saying one side is entirely right and the other is entirely wrong is an oversimplification. The Israeli people live in genuine fear. The fear that the country they built after 2,000 years of persecution could vanish again. That fear drives extreme choices. The Palestinian people live in genuine agony. The agony of being displaced, blockaded, and bombed on their own land. That agony drives extreme resistance. Two fears have created two extremes, and at the root of those fears is the map. 15 kilometers. That narrow width dictates every choice Israel makes. Those choices create the reality for Palestinians. And that reality, in turn, fuels Israel's fear. It is a vicious cycle born of terrain. To find an exit, you either have to change the map or change the fear. Changing the map is impossible. That leaves only one option: changing the fear. And as the explosions echoing through Gaza every day tell us, that is perhaps the hardest task of all.